this down. So usually I'd let the music go in the background, but since we're going to be talking about some programming stuff and going through a little bit of the project, I'm gonna and da-da-da. Okay. All right. So the bug is back. We're back with more bug-free productions. Looking at UI today. A little bit of what I learned last week or two with regards to how to set up your UI. It's not going to be anything really technical about like UI, like screen space and pixel measurements and all that stuff, but it's going to be a little more coverage on how we can potentially use things to lower our workload in Unity, uh, at least with color wheels and other stuff, and also design, Affinity Designer, which I think I included in here, yep. So we'll go ahead and look at that. I'll go ahead and switch scenes here and we'll get started. So if we look at this, if anyone's just tuning in on this and doesn't really use Unity, basically I have the game scene, how the game's going to look when I hit play, my little preview window of play, and I have my editing scene over here, which is absolutely tiny for me. I'm used to working on a big old 2K monitor with a lot more space, which would probably look fine on your screen, but trust me, this should be about 3 units long and still only cover this much space. Because this is on my like 13-inch tablet. Tiny. So tiny. Alright, but this bug is back and we'll get started. So, actually gonna flip back quick. Just remember you can check out any of these demos live on Twitch at that address there, and you can catch the YouTube recordings over on the YouTube channel, Bug Free Productions. So we got that, and with that, we'll get started and get going. So first of all, this is a factory. We don't need to worry about that sort of stuff. Let's talk about files. If I'm talking about files, I'm probably very upset. If we go to Assets, Animation, Emoji, this is just where I've stored my stuff, and you can see all the different artwork I made, kind of. So there's a couple things to figure out in Unity. So if you wanted to just reference a bunch of images and do it that way, you certainly can, which would be pretty fine, especially if you're doing single player. Probably best to just make all the little designs for like your UI and stuff separate and illustraty, or however you want to do it, a little more granular. If you're doing something like this where it has multiple erasers and we're online and it's not necessarily gonna meant to look super homey and inviting for the UI or mystical, fantastical, whatever it is, just kind of as you can see, it's supposed to look a little technical. Um, it's just kind of got energy bars and measurements and integers and icons, which is where we'll put some icons in that white square instead, and replace that with a different white color. And if we open up my objects a little bit here, I'm just going to make sure this is still running. All looks good. So if we take a little look at my object here, we can look at it, break it apart. UI is where I stored all this stuff, and I broke it into 2 sections. So my UI that's on the left, let's see if I can, there we go. So UI is a little weird. It's one of those things that's kind of a pain to look at in Unity, simply because usually you'll make a lot of it transparent, and it takes a long time to zoom in because you do your sample sizes in like 1080, and that translates to world units, which is not pixels, which gets complicated. So it's hard to view your UI sometimes, especially if you're using a small screen like I am. So bear with me on that side of it. If I can just, yeah, that didn't help me at all. Just leave it like that. But basically, I lined it up to be like this, so that everything's anchored into the bottom left corner. You can look at your, yep. So I lumped this whole group of objects into the left bottom anchor, did the near inverse for the right, so bottom right, and we have all the items underneath each one. So each one has like a UI back, which is the back plate behind it, which would be that dark purple you're seeing show through. We have the speed image, um, which should actually be the speed bar. Well, whatever, it's fine. And then energy image. So I just left those as images, which are the bars that I'm gonna adjust. Um, but yeah, I think I might need to go back and do some adjustments. Or I might need to just pull and refresh from my repository. Either way, um, then we have weapons, which is basically pretty much the same layout as this. It has the back image, has this mid purple, um, which is the above everything else, and everything else is behind that. So this is kind of works as a mask and is only an image, so that I don't have to worry about masking, because masking in Unity is a pain, and trying to mask an image in outside of it would probably be very difficult, if at all possible. So just to make it a little easier, I did it that way, so it's just kind of like you can look at it in a stack. So the form is this, let's pick that one. Form is this little guy here, and then you can see the back and the text bars are separate and all that stuff is separate. So you have that, and you can see you would see the same thing if I moved this one out. But what I wanted to really focus on today was how do you I'll probably actually switch over to Affinity, and this is just something I was working on. I can go open recent without doxing anything. Emoji scan, up down. That's not what I wanted to do. Emoji face, scan, up down, debug PDF. Can I do more? Cool. It doesn't give me what I wanted because that file's on a different machine. Okay, cool. Anyway, so we'll just cut that out. Maybe we'll just head back to Unity, I guess. I wasn't thinking that that was only on the other machine, which it is. Anyway, so you'll notice over here, if we select any one of these parts in here, we go down to like its color, which vertex color, and I have that selected. And I select them by hexadecimal, because hexadecimal translates directly into RGB. And they're HSV. HSVs across um, programs is not consistent, whereas the hexadecimal and uh, RGB 255s are. You could use 0 to 1, but I mean, nobody really uses that. At least not that I know of. So let's go make sure that text matches 204, 120, 247. Yep, so it didn't change any of the values. You'll notice I just changed color modes, but it didn't actually adjust the color at all. It just gave it to me in a different form. Um, so when using Unity, I recommend using the hex colors in your color pickers. Um, and for programmers, I also recommend that. We'll probably do a color thing later about just programming the colors once I get the swatch programming running and done. But essentially, just to show what they can do, um, you can, like, programmers can create a color property that you can set in the inspector. So you can go in here and set hex. You don't have to know your RGB values in order for the programmer to be able to take in your hexadecimal. You just have to be able to, um, that's only if you wanted to do some read write on the back end. That's just for programmers. If you wanted to use RGB, you're perfectly able to use hexadecimal or use the HSV editor and adjust it all over the place. But I don't really recommend that because HSV works kind of different among applications. So unless you're doing an illustration or working almost entirely in one application, you're not going to want to go around and use HSV because you'll get inconsistent results and your numbers won't transfer always, which is a nightmare. Um, yeah. So with that, we're going to look font size, all this stuff. So here's all your font settings. If you're a font person in design, you can definitely come in here and adjust a lot of your font. These are gonna be fake adjustments, I'm pretty sure. What you'd want to do is actually, if you're really into type, as in this font asset, you'd want to go and get a italic set of that Libertarian sans serif and use the italic font by generating it, which we won't actually go through today because that's an entirely separate thing that I wasn't really planning on dealing with today. That would probably be like, you could spend, I don't know, probably like 1 hour just going through the different things on text, but we're just concerned about colors today. Colors and shapes and images. So, what did I do for some of this other stuff? So, if you watched the other videos, you'd know that I created I probably showed that I did this part because it was part of the animation part, where I showed when I started making this, and then I got to the point where I had to export it all, and I didn't want to show you guys all my file paths, so that was done outside of that video. But eventually, when I lined them all up, it came into something like this. So I made all these images, right? And then from these PNGs, I created a new document that was 1 through 16 long, so 16 by 540, or 16 times 540 long plus the 540 height. So it's just one long straight line making a sprite sheet. And this one's also a PNG. And then you can check out its editing stuff. So to slice it apart, you want to do sprite. Sprite and UI is what the mode you want is. Pixels per unit is 540, so it can only be as big as 540, which doesn't matter all that much for us right now, because this would be more important if you're doing a 2D game where you have to measure how many pixels are in a unit to make sure all your resolutions scale up correctly. Whereas for this, we kind of only need to judge how much screen the object is going to take up when we're looking at it. Because this is a 3D, so your distance matters. So you have to have what's your minimum distance to the object, and then how many pixels of information uh, of image do you need at that point, at that zoom, which gets a little bit more complicated. Since this is a UI object, I just went by how big it's going to be on screen. And so 1920 by 1080, because we're working at 16 by 9. So I have 1080 by 1080, or like, so 1080, 1080 would be like a square out of the screen. That would be way bigger than it's going to be. And so 1080 divided by 2 is like 540. So it's 540 by 540, which would be about a quarter of the screen, which is still way bigger than it's going to be, because what he'll actually be in size is, if I hit play here, if it loads, if it decides not to crash, which it very well might, that's as big as he's going to be. So there's no reason for his circle to be any bigger than 540. It'd be absurd, right? Now, if you'd seen the last one, I showed that this was working. I'll go through how that works right now. So in Unity, there's a animator, and I have, it's not in the UI. This one's actually in the, don't worry too much about my object layer. Your programmer, or if you do design in Unity, would probably take care of this. This would not be like a person that does the artwork usually, but it doesn't hurt to know how things go in. Basically, it moves with the bike's body, which is my rot body, which is, so then underneath that is the emoji here. And the emoji is just the canvas that I made. So it's an in-world canvas, canvas world space. So we have to keep track of that, because how does it work? If it's in world space, so now we still have the same considerations. We have to consider how close you will be at any given time to it, which we're not that close. So the 540 was perfectly fine, especially at 772 pixels per inch density. It's perfectly fine. For our target resolution, which is only 1080, 1920 by 1080. So our animator, so if we click that, we can go, oh, it's in animation actually. I just kind of, for this whole demo and practice and setup, I just kind of put it all here, and then I figured I'd organize it later. So you can have a controller, which controls how the animation works. Uh, this is a really simple one. All it does is go to the first entry state, so I'm not going to spend any time looking at the animator really. Because literally this is all it is. Entry state is emoji, P. Not actually P, because we'll look at that. This will just be emoji, and then I'll probably do some color coding so that the code color comes in. It's really unfortunate that my file was on the other computer. I'll have to bring it on as a side note in the next one just so people can kind of look at it. Maybe, yeah, I'll probably use that as talking about color picking strategies, maybe, because that was pretty cool. But anyway, so that's all the animator really is right now. It's just really simple, comes in, and it just says to play animation. So it's emoji P, speed, motion time, all of that. Mirror would just flip it. It's symmetrical, so that wouldn't matter at all. Foot IK, I'm not going to touch it. Don't usually touch inverse kinematics. I only really programmed the one because I wanted it to be a function of the controls. Otherwise, I'd probably use somebody else's. I want to program it, but that's neither here nor there for the art part of it. So I got these by designing that one thing in Affinity Design and then exporting individual, moving all of the lines down as I did to create the looping motion. And what that left me was one of these, which is a sprite sheet I could make. which I sliced. So if we can look at the sprite, can we look at sprite editor maybe? Sprite, no, that opened it in viewer. That's not right. Can we lower that and then, yeah, I just want to show you the sprite editor. I'm not actually going to use it because that would screw up all my stuff. But if we select this, you'll see that I already sliced it probably. If I can even click on it with how small stuff is. That's not what I want again. Okay, so here we'd see this. We have pivot center, pivot mode, position, width 5, and that's just because I didn't do these other ones. Maybe I can use this as an example. I don't know why it keeps opening that. But sprite editor. Okay, there we go. So the box, you can see the sprites here. I don't think I cut this one yet, so this is a good example. I can go sprite editor. Do I need more room? Did I not even? Here it is. Didn't even change the type. So after I change it to a 2D UI sprite, go to split mode and go multiple. And that means that this guy will be multiple. And we have multiple here. So now this is considered, if we apply it, to be multiple images. And as such, we can open in the sprite editor. So this is open. People might have to import this now. Package manager, packages and projects. I think it was just 2D sprite. They no longer include this with the Unity 3D default project. I think it's just because it's not used all that much, but you will use it if you animate your UI. So it's kind of weird that it's not in there, actually. Any rate, if you do slice, you have your choice between automatic. Since I made my own sprite sheet, I actually like to go by cell size or by cell count. Let's go grid by cell count. Count's easier, especially if you placed all your objects equidistant from top, bottom, left, and right of your boundaries, which is what I did. I just used snapping to help me do it. It's very easy if you just use a snapping tool that's built into any of the graphic editors. I don't like to delete existing, I like to do safe. And then my columns are 16, I know, because there's 16 images for the animation. Rows is 1 because I just did them all in one row. And then we slice. So that's cool. And you'll see it sliced them. It's lossless. Should be lossless. I need to go back here and I don't know why this is the way it works. If you click out of it after you slice it, it prompts you to apply. Don't understand. But now you'll notice that here, let's condense that. You'll see that it separates all these images and I can access them one at a time, which is pretty good. So what would I do next? So from there, after I sliced my images, I just kind of went and I can create, that's where I created this emoji P. So much like the animator controller, we just go right click create, and you'll see your animation stuff is down here. So you do animator controller, you'll need one of those, and then an animation. So a new animation, which just to show you how it works, maybe I will do that. GR green TST. I'm not gonna create a new animator controller because I'll just screw things up. Well, actually, it won't. Let's go ahead and do that. Create animator controller, and we create a new animator controller. Green test. So if I double click this, it'll open that animator. I'm gonna move this guy over here because it's getting irritating to flip the windows back and forth. Animation is a separate issue, which I'll probably move down here. Don't know why it was up there to begin with. So then we go to project. So our animator controller, if we give that to our bicycle, our emoji. So we start with a game object, which would be an emoji, which is just a canvas. And all we do is we add the animator controller to it. So add animator. So you'd add animator. You'd have the option to add that, but I'll actually change this to green test, show you guys how this works. And then with green test, I'd show you to add your animation emoji, and you can create a new one for this thing, but what I find is usually easier is to take your first animation, green test, throw that in. You can also right click and create a state, which is the same, and you could add that animation and do it that way, adding that into the state. For demo purposes, I can just drag it in and throw it in there. But if you were doing something which a programmer or a Unity game designer would probably handle, not an artist, would be to set up submachines and state machines and other stuff. This is just so you can test your animations. We're not going to worry about that right now. So if we go to emoji now, and we go to emoji base, so you can see there's scan effect and emoji base. I'm going to leave emoji base selected, go into animation. Okay, so we select our top level where the animator is, right? Animator, we add our green test controller to it, and then we go and we add some properties. So we go through and we just look at it. So starts at the top level, so we'll have rect transform, canvas, canvas scaler, graphic raycaster, then children, emoji base. Then we have game object is active, rect transform. These are all properties of the base. So we keep going, keep going, keep going. We'll actually use this image. So we go emoji base, the image component of emoji base. And we want the sprite, the image sprite. And then I will go and grab, oh, this is the part that doesn't work. So I'll drag this back up to here because this isn't going to work that way. So if we click here and then shift select, and then we can go and drag it out so it's equidistant over time of 1 second. So all I did was shift select, click drag in, and while everything's still selected, grab and pull that last frame out and it stretches the entire thing out. So now if we go to game and go play, we should see the effect that I was using is replaced. By, oh, yep, there's a, so the progressive scan is no longer animated. And the reason you can't see the green working is because of an existing setting, which is the color of that not being, yep, see now it's green is there. And I'll turn off the, there. So now you can see the green should be moving, but it stopped animating. And why did it stop animating? Because I forgot to, or I didn't forget to, but you select this animation, right? Green text. And you do loop time. This will loop the animation. So if we go back to game, go play, then emoji base, and we'll change the colors out. And we'll take the scan effect and turn that off. Now you'll see our green there behind the text object cycling through and animating. Okay. So now I'm going to change that back to my purple setting just so I don't forget later. Emoji purple P. Now let's look at it, what's different in that animation, right? Image sprite changed. But if we hit play with that back on, should work all correctly. Just want to make sure everything works correctly. Now, why is this different? So we can actually use Unity to tint some colors in the event we want to color them in Unity using generic CSS or even some fancier renders. Well, what does that mean? So we go and we start with this, right? So if we go into here on emoji base, which that's just tipping, don't worry about that. It's just some script running. I have the color of the image changed. So if I switch that back to white, like you saw me do before, it switches that part that's not animated to white, because that's just the image behind it, where I actually animated the scan effect. And you can see that's the part that's actually moving, is the scan effect moving across a base color background circle. Okay, so why is it set up that way? If you look at it, I want to look at my animation. It doesn't really look, what can I do here? Oh, if I add a property, so I skipped emoji base this time. I went into scan effect, and using those stripes and animated like this. So I took the regular sprites like this, deleted the dark purple value using like a color fill selector and in Affinity, and deleted out the dark purple, leaving me with just light purple. And then I color changed it to white, so that I wouldn't have to redo all of the like all of the individual frames in Affinity Design, which would have been a real pain since I already had these images. But I didn't figure out that idea until I had already stupidly done um, this much, this sprite sheet, the remaining colors of my color palette in the sprite sheet. Thankfully, I just did color replace. I didn't actually go through and make each one in blue, red, green, pink, magenta, I mean, etc. I just color replaced them all, but even then, that was like a lot of time, and so was making the many settings of these guys and these guys. So, um, if you think you can plan to get away with just color replacing something, like tinting it, a good thing to do would just be to use white image shapes in Unity, like this one, which is also one I used in the scene. So that cover there, that form, is actually just a white image that I then tinted with my color, kind of changing the color of a white image into the hexadecimal color that I actually wanted. So for simple UI, or just if you can convert it into a way that layers the UI, works really good. And it is possible for your game developers slash design, game developers slash designers to either program or set up a way for you to color replace a little bit more easy by just passing in some swatches, which is what I'm working on right now, which would be really cool. It's going into my toolbox for game development and looks really nice. Where I'll be able to just serve up which colors I want. So each ones of these I can set, I kind of have on a swatch, and when I put that swatch in using the tool, it'll be able to access the color property or the vertex color in case of font and replace it that way with all white objects without having to worry about that. Which also extends to my racer animation, which will animate that way, and I can change the colors on that to be green or whatever, whether I choose to do that by racer number, like first player, second player, third player, or I choose to do that via something else, character customization, or place number, like first, second, third, fourth place, which actually sounds kind of cool. If I do it in terms of who scored for whose standing places, like not what they're in place wise in the race they're racing, but in terms of what they're, you know, the other things. So looking at that, that looks really nice, right? That's and the Bob is actually scripted animation. I don't recommend doing a whole lot of motion in sprites. I recommend kind of just keeping them dead center for everything and equidistant setup squares, like this, and then letting the coders move the stuff around via like physics and other things, because it's just not gonna turn out, honestly, unless you have a very measured section where this animation is gonna occur. It's better to just let scripters do that because it gets messy. And the last thing you want to do is go into like one of these. I mean, the last thing you want to do is to go into this and add like event keyframes and yeah, like add events that trigger scripts, because then scripting gets complicated, scripting gets to be a pain, and nobody's happy. So just like all your character movements, running, jumps, just do it dead center, equidistant, so that it's easy for designers to slice up um, and put into an animation like this or some other way, depending on what their project is, your project is. Just saves everybody a whole lot of headache. Do never, never ever do something where like you're trying to say you're doing a jump. So jump here to this side of the screen, right here in an arc. Now, never try and animate that um, in terms of actually covering that distance. It just doesn't work for game design. There's probably exceptions for that, but I like maybe cutscenes or other things that would work okay for. But it just doesn't work very well in other cases. Like I wouldn't want to do that for gameplay. It's just really pain. So look at this a little more. So that um yeah, so that's pretty much most of the stuff I wanted to talk about for the forms and stuff. See the forms whoops. The forms are just the same thing. White image. So image property set to a sprite I pulled in. Color equal to the color I wanted it to be because it's just white that I pulled in. And it forms that color. I could maybe pull open. Am I logged into Google? No, I'm not logged into Google. That's also something I guess I could do maybe. I don't know. Um, it would be nice if that color swatch application was here. Oh well. So, with that, what can we do here? So that's kind of my little thing on UI design. Don't or just making it less work for you in general. It's easier to adjust colors in here if you're doing something really simple. Otherwise, like if you're doing single player game that would actually use a very or could make use of a very detailed UI, that might be better um, to do as separate images and then not necessarily worry about them as tinting. But at the same time, if you're looking at doing scripting and stuff, it's best to probably use white images and then allow the script to alter the colors um, during runtime because it'll be easier if they're all white images and they can just tint. Um, is there anything else in this little guy here? And as you can see, this is all good. So for me to change all the colors, that would take a long time. So in order not to do color replace, you can just not do any of this and alter your items to be white colors coming in. And then I did the same thing with the base. The base behind that little emoji, that's also a white circle behind everything that just is changed to be color purple. What can we do with Affinity right now? This is just a little sprite sheet I'm working on. I'm not getting it working yet. It still kind of needs some Help. Foot. Let's jump back to, what can I jump back to? Be like, I can't really open that with this one. That's kind of weird. I'll probably just open some photo. Close Unity. I'll close Unity and open some photo. Yeah, because that's all for design part in Unity. And we'll just close the rest of it out with some sketching and stuff. So let's go ahead and do that. Kill the Unity. Do I want to save anything I did today? I suppose I better save. It'll probably save something wrong in the scene if I don't. And then let's get AF photo out. Affinity photo. Should probably launch primary and then load secondary. There it is. Open recent. Yeah, and I'll talk about like color picking for UI later. Free sketch. Was it UI sketch? No. Basic photo, basic ghost poster. That was opened in Comic Book 1. Yeah, that's not looking as bad as I felt when I started. Probably have to pull open some text and put her in there. The shading looks okay. What is it that's hitting me wrong though? Do I have gray paper on this as well? Oh, I do have gray paper on it. If I, if I went and got my brushes and I got my round watery felt, what's a round felt pen look like? Page 1, page 3 ink. Ink pixel. Oh, pixel is the shading. And then if I just get some white color. I just won't save at the end of this if this doesn't turn out. Kind of liking this round watery brush though. Or what was it? Yeah, the round watery for shading. What was a round felt pen? Not at all what I want. Nah, this round watery brush is really, really fun. And that's looking kind of nice. Do I need to go over it a second time? That might make it too white. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, so we come down. That's just too small a brush for those eyes. Let's pop this from 24 up to 33 or so. Pop it up a little more, 50 so. That works pretty nice. Whoops, that's too far. And I didn't pick up and change strokes, so it really messed up my thing. Since it's white, it don't really make much of a difference. Something there. Something like that. Okay, and then we go this way. Something there. Brighten up the eyes a bit. Then we could just, like, on this side. So sunlight's something like that. Okay, so we got this working, and we got a little more working, and it's gonna be set up. And do we want to change the color of this to white? Might make it a little easier to read. So let's go ahead and try that. Something like that. We're just getting some nice little drawings. I can probably start this all the music back up. So that's running. There we go. And then we could probably put it like some shine right there. That. Just give it some more bright, and we could do that to their hats too, and just add some more rim lighting. Some we probably want to put our brush back down to like 20. Probably put it up there where the cheekbones come out. Something like that. Something like that. Just to add some lighting back into it. This guy seems kind of may not be super accurate, but okay. And then that word bubble. And then the top of the hat. Rim his hat a little bit. Something like that. It could be done a little bit better. Alright, so then we'll go out and we'll come back up. Go here, add some brushing. Brush. Just keep making more little strokes. Oh, that's just not that. Here we go. How's that looking? Better? And then I'll probably just put some text in there. T for text tool. 15 point. Haza. Okay. Layers. Page. We're working on 3. So let's pull up page 3. And something like that. There we go. And I'm not very good with dialogue yet, so a lot of this is still going to be placeholder, just pushed as is. Um, um, can we get, can we do, oh, huh, let's do something like that. Something like that, escape B, pull it back over, and I'm just kind of using 15-point font for no, no big reason. And I'm kind of worried that it'll scale down once I start doing other stuff. So I need that brush back a little bit. Brush. Let's just shrink that back down a bit. Something like that. Don't know what that layer that's on, huh? Good enough, I guess. And we're still trying some different stuff with some of these comics. They're not all going to be one and done or the same style of shading or any of that stuff. Hmm. Let's go back and get some Spotify playing. There you go. Next object is to go to back to the screen. Pull this up. That should be pretty good. Okay. So then we can go ahead and just turn that book page 3 back off. Page 3. Control group. Page 3. Probably also gonna throw that pixel in page 3 and I have to pull that to bottom. Here we go. Yep, so we'll probably click here and create a new pixel. New pixel layer, fill tool. Let's pull that open. I think I'm just gonna go get that one. And then we're gonna go I could have just control duplicated that, I suppose. Oh well. Okay, close. We're gonna go ahead with brushes and go pixels. And we'll continue. And we're gonna get back to sketching on page 4. So we'll create P4 paper. P4 paper. And we have a couple more things. We have P4 paper. And we can add an extra pixel on top of that. It's our sketch. KETCH. That'll be P4 sketch. And we'll turn our page 4 on. Do we have a page 2 grouping? Oh, those are pages. What happened to... Did I delete it? Oh no. It's page 1. No, that's supposed to be page 2. Not 1. Page 2 can go in there then. I can also just hide everything. Sketch for 3. Which, do I have a page 3 sketch? Page 3, I didn't, so let's go throw it in. Throw it to the bottom. That should all be fine. Pull that back up. We'll go to page 4, continue on to 4. Whoops. Didn't want any of that. Did I delete part of this for some reason? book page 4. Seems like there's a lot of this cut off. That doesn't work then. What's our 5 look like? What's page 5 look like? That's probably... It's gonna be more boring. Let's get this in position. Something like that. And can I move that in a little bit then? So we could... I think we could probably put it there-ish. Could still get most of it. I don't like that tangent line. So we can cut a lot of this off. And then light in this way. Something like that. Yeah, I'll try and find that image later. But we could also shrink. Really. That's good enough. Save B. Because I'm not really going for spreads yet, I'll probably do that after I get a little more accustomed to drawing on digital. Besides that, offhand, little bit I get to draw on it. So we're gonna be going probably into let's go down here and then we'll start. Put the sketch above 5, we'll change this to P5 sketch. Hoping that that was gonna be visible. Paper, but I guess it's so then I probably want to go to here and do chisel felt pen. Need to go back to black. Grab the pen, bump this up to something like 20. Actually, this one's pretty well sketched out. I could probably, if I didn't hate this lean so much, probably go right into inks, but I can't. Right? So we'll have to go. We can move this. And this is, if you're interested in the music, this is just Game Chops. Nice DMCA free music. Pretty chill. Pretty good for drawing music. And Something like that. Leave the line broken, maybe. Something like that. I'll probably go through better when I do the actual ink. Probably just do this line up a little bit more. Something like that, and then we'll slim him up a little bit because his jaw's kind of. And not that we really need that, because that's just going to be. Something like that. Something like that. What can we do here? Yeah. Something like that. And we got. I don't really like that. That's not quite right. Why isn't that right? Let's take the sketch and adjust its opacity down a little bit. Oh, it's meant to be like. And it should be. Should be something like this. Comes in. Then we erase out some of this, probably getting it bigger. Because it should be more like question mark. That's not quite what I wanted. something like that. That comes down. Something like that. Something like that. Which could be a little less. Something like that. Then we can draw this guy back here, making a little less, a little more sense actually, is what I mean. So let's bump him up. Move his ribcage actually down here-ish. Move his waist under him. Something like that. Something like that. Let's turn off the page real quick. Maybe not quite yet. Should be like that. Step forward. Something, and then we got this all fill in with hair, but I'll leave it on in sketch. Something like that. Something like that. Some kind of shorthand like that. And Something like that. Well, let's pull our page back on. Let's maybe do one shoe. Like that. And we'll learn how to draw yet. So let's get that's kind of cool, actually. Erasing the hat above to kind of give that odd look. Yeah, that's kind of cool, actually. That's big. Maybe we can actually get some more space out of that. We can still do some liney sketches out in there. The thin lines and stuff. But maybe... Ooh, yep, that's how that should be too. There it is, something like that. Let's just refresh. What happened? Weird. What did I do? What changed? Come on. Was I drawing on this one? Nope. Okay. I don't understand what my keys are. Brushes. Oh, crap. What is going on with my brain? Something. Brushes. Is it just the overlap? What was it at? 80%? I still don't know my way around this program. It's really frustrating. It's just perceived that it happens, and I don't understand what's going on. I think it's just because it went over the drawing. I don't think my settings actually changed. Okay. But to test that, let's just do a quick one. Something like that. Then let's get should we get a little farther over there? And then cut the panel down. Something like that. It should look. Because I really just want to do maybe even we'll do bigger font here to show that it's a bigger problem. Then we go to layers and we get page 5. Let's walk back that little bit. And then brush on the sketch layer. And maybe we'll even do that. Something like that, and then we pull in eraser. Something like that. That looks, yeah. Then we'll get rid of this. That. And we could even maybe get rid of that line. We're not even gonna have this face in here. So then, even to fix some of this, I think I'm just going to move the sketch down. Yeah, that did cause some real weird stereoscoping. Just spot right there, get a little headroom. That's fine. And I do just want to shift that a little bit. And why do I want to do that? Because I want these characters to be a little bit. Could even. There we go. Just to clean up compositionally a little bit. We'll do these ones next. And we're going to need a little bit finer lines as we go into this one. So once we select our brush tool, put this one to 20. Whoa, what happened? On the wrong layer. There we go. Yeah. I don't know if any of this is actually going to help me, or if it's just going to make it harder. I go to ink this because it's not going to be as clean. Okay. I'm just going to ink over that actually. Just huge. Hugely terrible. It's so small that the pencil line is already the sketch I want. So And then I can move those in after I do that ink. Okay. Pixel layer. P5 ink. What time is it? 43. So we'll keep inking for a few minutes. I'll see if I can file over and talk about how I get colors. Hopefully have that ready for next time. And we'll keep finishing out with some sketching. What can we do here then? So we're just gonna keep there we go. Did that too much. Let's go with like a 30. Let's bump that down to 30-ish. Something like 35-ish. And then let's pop this up to 40-ish. Tried to make those lines thicker towards the bottom. but whatever. Sometimes you just either have to start over or eraser. Switch tools. Well, I probably shouldn't be doing that much erasing, but alright, looks like it's done. So I'll wrap up the line, this outer line, and then probably start wrapping up here. Come on. Something like that. Okay, so that's where we're gonna stop for today. Still going a little slow, but compositions are looking a little bit better. Hopefully. Yep. And remember, as always, you can catch up on or catch live on Twitch, or you can check out YouTube past recordings. Code is going to continue to be Tuesday at 6. Art is going to be Thursday at 6, a little more consistently now, as we've gotten a bulk of the controller done, so I don't need to catch up on that as much. Stay up on Twitch for upcoming changes in schedule. And as usual, everybody have a bug-free night.